get him. And then when Zavragin was there, we picked it. We just thought we had him rated way high, so it was just a no-brainer to take him at that point. Kenny is very high on him, and it was just value at that point. So.
Such a deep draft. Was there a focus on certain skill sets and identifying those as your picks?
I think early on, obviously early on you can tell what we were doing, but I think the defensemen in the draft, in the first round there's some quality options. It dropped off quickly, and we were really happy to get Bonk there. We got a lot of upside, very smart player, and a right shot to boot, which is nice. And then after the goaltenders, we just had a couple guys targeted there, and Barkey's he's a really exciting player. He's undersized, obviously, but he has all the traits to make it for a small player with his skill and high compete and the motor. And but really exciting player. He's in a great environment there in London with the Hunters, and who they just rave about. So our guys are excited for him. And Cole Knubel's a guy that is USHL Player of the Year. He was on our list last year late, and skating was the issue, and he worked his ass off all summer and put weight on, got stronger, and has become a good skater. So it's one of those lessons. Sometimes you got to take a chance on these guys if they're just lacking some strength in their skating. But he's a great kid. He's really fired up to be a Flyer, and we'll see where it goes.
What can you tell us about McPherson? He's kind of in like a lower tier.
He's a guy. He actually has a twin brother. We just invited to development camp. The draft is still going, so I don't know if his brother got drafted too, but he may see his brother as well. But Rick Gracie lives right there. Dennis Patterson spent time. He's obviously got a little bit longer path going to Penticton next year and then to college. So really good motor. He's kind of a Gracie compares him a little bit to Noah Cates as far as the compete and the way he plays a two-way game. And so at that point, the draft's a no-brainer. And those are the kind of guys I typically like to target later, just for longer path, and you have the time to develop.
When Keith Jones was hired, a lot was made about his connections through the NHL. How much did that play when you guys are at the draft table, especially when it came to like all the London picks?
It's usually lots of jokes, people walking by, but no, he's obviously connected to most teams, whether it's coaches, management, the Hunter brothers. But he actually really helped us as far as gathering information with certain people. The Hunters, obviously, we have a pretty good relationship with them regardless, but he's very close to them. I feel a little more trustworthy with the information you're getting sometimes. But no, he's been helpful, and he's having a lot of fun doing it.
When you first came to Philadelphia, you were already with defensemen here, was with a different mold.
Yeah.
Now you guys are kind of reshaping that. Is this kind of the mold you guys are looking for, bigger guys that are puck movers?
In some case, we have obviously some of the guys we already have in place with York and Andre, and it's hard to keep drafting too many small defensemen. Obviously, if they're dynamic and at a certain level, we'll go there. We're trying to get a little bit bigger on the back end, but at the same time, it just depends where the draft falls. This year was, as you saw, the top defenseman went early, and it fell out pretty quick.
Going back to last night, obviously you guys took the big swing on Mishkov, then you take Bonk with the second pick. Bonk, I think in general, is seen as a guy who's almost certainly going to make it in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Maybe doesn't have a super high ceiling. Did that play into it? The fact that you took the big swing on Mishkov, so maybe go for the guy who's more of a sure thing.
He's actually he's a guy I said early on in the season I would have said that, but he actually really got better and better all year long. From watching him in the summer with Hockey Canada, where he finished off in London, he's taken huge strides. Really smart player. He really scans the ice, really sees it. You'll see him next week. He's not a big body yet. He's 6'2 plus, but he's got a lot of room to fill out and get stronger, which is exciting for his mobility. But he's a really smart defender. But as far as his transition game, breakouts, and he started taking more chances offensively, which is exciting. So in London, he's going to play a ton there, and we see him as a top four defenseman.
Some of the philosophical,
Sorry, what's that?
Some of the philosophical changes of the organization, obviously have a new front office. How did that change maybe the conversations or attitude at the draft table this year?
Draft table, to be honest, I think I said this before. Danny and I had worked together. We were out there watching a lot of the same games and stuff like that. So as far as philosophy this year, really hasn't changed. I think we're looking for, especially at the top end of the draft, we're looking for dynamic talent, and I think we took a big swing there, and a kid that obviously is a world-class talent a guy fans should be really excited about. And after that, I think Bonk was the guy that our scouts had high. There's obviously other players that were coming underneath, and we were nervous about getting. We landed there, which was great. And as the draft went on, we had some guys targeted that were, maybe a little bit smaller, but we felt had some upside. And then as the draft fell, Southern's another guy who's a big body, and a guy that's, had another guy that kind of got better, and he's got some rawness to him, but he's big and long and rangy and can defend, and he started to add some dimensions to his game in the second half. So in Portland, they have a good program offensively. And, so he's an interesting guy, and obviously has a little longer path to get there, but from where we got him, we're excited.
Does that acknowledgement that you guys are in a rebuild now and it might take some time make you more willing to take a swing on those guys who might take longer?
For sure. Well, in some cases, yeah. No, I think the swing sometimes. Obviously, we're looking for offensive talent, and especially in the high end. And we're talking forwards, defensemen. You're still, some of these guys, the big bodies, they take a long time to develop. And goaltenders, again, like Danny has said it. Goaltenders take a long time to develop, and for us, Bjarnason's, he was a top-rated guy in Canada, so he'll be involved with the Hockey Canada program and World Juniors and that, which is great. Zabragan will be the national team goalie probably in Russia, and they do a very good job of developing goalies in Russia, and just because of the rules, we have this race forever, which is great. They've done a good job developing goalies. So.
With the later draft selections, would you say that the staff prioritizes high ceiling more, or were they more focused potentially on for players that might have a clear path to the NHL?
I think, in some cases, I think there's some swings, and as our draft board by the end thinned out pretty quickly, so we went for some guys that just had a feel for something in their areas, and that's typically what you do at the very end of the draft. Yeah.
Danny mentioned yesterday when you guys were meeting with Mishkov, everything seemed genuine, and he really wanted to, come to here. What really stood out for you guys that really reassured you that it was worth the risk itself?
Well, just honestly, we met with him. We brought him into I don't know if he told you or not, but we brought him into Voorhees with his family, his younger brother, his mother, his agents, and one of his close friends from Russia. So it's kind of a really good environment just to see him socially, but see him come in the rink, and he smiled, and he was excited to see the gym, and there's guys working out, and the facility, and he wanted to go shoot pucks. He's playing air hockey downstairs, but no, he's genuinely excited to be there. You can tell his family were excited. And, he did his background on the history of the Flyers, and it was kind of a cool meeting, and it's one of those things because for me personally, I've seen this kid play for a few years, and then this year just on video, but. For a dynamic player, I didn't know what I was going to get. You hear some of the rumors, and but when he left, we spent a couple hours, had lunch, and when he left that day, everybody, Jonesy, Danny, and I just felt a real comfort level of the type of kid he is and how driven he is. I think you can probably sense that when you're talking to him. Like he wants to play, he wants to be the best, but at the same time, he's a good kid. And, like I said, he smiles, he jokes around, and it's going to be a good player.
Brent, you talking about the focus on wanting to bring in a high-end talent like Mishkov early in the draft. I guess how rare or unusual is it for someone of his caliber to be available even at number 7?
It doesn't happen very often.
Brent, does he remind you as to wanting to be a Flyer?
I don't know. He did the history. I think being on the East Coast is a big part of it. And I think the way that day went for him was excited. I think he probably a little nervous coming to North America and being interviewed, and kind of everything went smooth. Jonesy's joking around, and Danny, and I think he obviously knew Danny, who he was as a player, and saw the facility. So I think he naturally felt a real good comfort level right away, and had a good lunch. His little brother is a good kid. He's a soccer player, not a hockey player. And, I just think there was a comfort level everywhere, and it just worked out that way. So.
It seemed like going into yesterday, you guys really had zeroed in on Mishkov as being the guy you really wanted. I guess how scared was the draft table that he was going to get snatched up?
No, for sure. Honestly, I didn't know. I think we had the first 4 picks pegged, and then at Montreal, I had no idea. I thought a couple different things, but they keep everything pretty close to their chest, which is good. And then I didn't think he was going to Arizona, so I thought there was a good chance, but I didn't know at 5. At that time, there were still pretty good players on the board, but we were obviously at that point we were targeting on him, and it worked out. So.
Brent, does he remind you of anyone, Mishkov, as a
pro?
I don't know. I don't like the players this caliber. He's an elite goal scorer, playmaker. If you watch him on video, every time he touches the puck in the offensive zone, it's going to the net, and there's things happen and creates goal scoring. So he has an innate ability, like Connor and these guys in this draft. He just makes stuff out of nothing, and very few players in the world can do that. And then, with his drive, and if you watch him, he loves to score goals. Like his celebrations, he's got reminds me a little bit of Pavel Bure as far as when he does score. He's fired up. So fans are gonna love him, and he's excited to play. And obviously, he's driven to win, which is exciting.
Was there anything about Matt that when you met him that surprised you? Like, did it...
Well, honestly, he's bigger than what he's listed on Rink. Like Rinkin hasn't been updated in 3 years, obviously. So yeah, that was refreshing too to see that he's over 5'10" and he's 180 some pounds, and he's put the work in physically. He's getting stronger. So, but even the way what we ordered for food, we asked him what he wanted. Sushi, he didn't like sushi, but I didn't know if he wanted Philly cheesesteak, and he goes, I don't eat that. Or he said, so we ordered healthy food, which is good. He's focused that way too. So sometimes some guys can go off to agents wanted cheesesteaks, but no, it worked out fine. So.
Obviously, he's going to be in the KHL next year and a couple years after that. Do you guys really have any expectations for what you guys would like to see out of him while he's over there?
I just want him to play. Obviously, he's part of St. Petersburg. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're the richest, most powerful team there, and they keep signing players constantly. So as far as me selfishly, I just want him to play and play lots and have a big role offensively. He's a young kid. They care about winning only there, but he is a big name there, so I assume he's going to be taken care of and brought along. So we understood. We were well aware of the contract status of him. We're fine with that. 3 years, he should be ready to NHL ready and have an impact when he comes over. So
to follow up on that, do you guys have any control over if he doesn't get playing time? You guys could work something out for him to move around a little bit.
Well, I think the agents, if he's not playing, they like they did this year. They went to Sochi. They own Sochi too, so it's kind of a development program for them in the KHL. So the agents assured us that that's a big factor for him is to play. Scott's told him that he's going to have a role this year, so we assume he will.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys, have a good night.